Clark Hall made many contributions to the field of psychology throughout both his graduate and professional studies. He stressed in his experimental research the need to implement deductive reasoning as well as techniques from multiple fields in order to make advances that may explain human behavior.
Clark Hall was born on May 24, 1884 in Akron, New York, but was brought up in Michigan where he received majority of his formal education. At the age of 17, Hall began to teach after he had passed his teacher's examination, and in 1903 he pursued further studies at the Academy of Alma College. At this time, Hall became incredibly fascinated by geometrical reasoning, as well as deductive methods to develop new ideas and knowledge. Hall had suffered serious illnesses such as typhoid fever and polio, which had left him partially crippled, as well as put a delay on his education. However, his struggles had led him to pursue an interest in psychology, as it had close ties with the field of philosophy. Influenced by William James' work on functional psychology, Hall published his own work in psychology of reasoning with an emphasis on higher mental processes. In 1929, Hall became one of the first psychologists to study hypnosis and also develop his drive theory of behavior, drawing on key ideas and research from other thinkers such as Charles Darwin and John B. Watson. So what exactly is Hall's theory? One of Hall's most important contributions is his drive reduction theory of motivation, which gives rise to explaining behavior, learning, and motivation. According to his theory, the reduction of drives is the primary force behind motivation. In other words, motivation originates from biological drives, or needs, that serve as a positive reinforcement for behavior that reduces these drives. A drive can be defined as a state of arousal or tension triggered by a person's physiological or biological needs, for example, thirst or hunger. This drive or need further creates an unpleasant state that needs to be reduced, hence we seek out different ways to reduce or get rid of these biological needs. For example, if we are thirsty, we drink water to reduce the thirst, or we wear a sweater to reduce the feeling of being cold in a cold environment. These behaviors are repeated by humans and animals in order to reduce their drives, by seeking out ways to satisfy these needs. Hall's theory is influenced by the concept of homeostasis, or the idea that the body works to maintain a balance, or a state of equilibrium, with behavior being one of the ways to maintain this balance.
Pippin, sit. Good boy. Pippin. Pippin, sit. Pippin. Pippin, sit.
Hall's contributions involve the application of deductive reasoning to make behavioral hypotheses based on pre-existing theories. He was influenced by figures like Darwin, Watson, and Pavlov. His drive reduction theory was influenced by Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as well as the ideas that association and conditioning can help to predict behavior. This major theory clearly demonstrates another step towards understanding behavior through a behavioristic approach. Hall used animal experimentation, mostly with rats, to observe the overt behaviors and how biological deprivation may be motivation to behave a certain way in the presence of a certain stimuli, with the reward being satisfaction from that deprivation, so basically negative reinforcement. Hall used qualitative experimentation to study memory, which was a step in the right direction to providing a scientific explanation of reasoning and intelligence. He also made technological advancements in the area of quantitative methods, which has now been improved and understood to suggest associations between distinct environmental stimuli. He was also one of the first psychologists to empirically study hypnosis and suggestibility. He concluded that continuous stimulation of words that are associated with a behavior will bring about that behavior. Like many other great theorists of his time, Hall also advised a number of future researchers by sharing his research and ideas with the graduate students who studied under his mentorship. As a result of his efforts, he also influenced those who later formed the basis of hypnosis and the contiguity theory of association formation, which we now know are important principles in the conditioning techniques used by applied behavioral analysts. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation. We hope that you learned something new about one of psychology's great thinkers. Bye!